You know, occasionally you can win a game with less than 22 points, but right now the New York Enforcers have a 22-point lead, 37-15. They're really dominating this game. Well, the Texas Rustlers had some confidence coming in. As a matter of fact, Chris Cheadle thought that they would show the Enforcers exactly what they're made of and maybe even teach them a lesson.
You know, the Enforcers, they think we're a joke because we're the new team. But, you know, we're going to give the Enforcers one hell of a run for their money. We'll send them back to the Big Apple crying.
Wishful thinking, obviously, from much earlier, kid.
And Blaze Leon breaks free right away for the New York Enforcers, followed by John Morrissey. Almost a familiar pattern to this when the Enforcers will seemingly break out of every jam. Now Brian Gallagher coming around. Gallagher using his speed on the inside, goes by both of the New York Enforcers. But I'll tell you, the Rustlers are going to need a whole lot of help from everybody in the team. Trending in this one by 17 points in the fourth, and what certainly should be the final period. As you see Mark D'Amato back, taking a beat on Brian Gallagher. Not the place you want to be. A great move by Gallagher, using some finesse to go by D'Amato as the Enforcers tangle themselves up. And Mark D'Amato, very upset, goes right after Brian Gallagher. He does not like to be passed. Oh, Gallagher takes him down. A great move. Gallagher suddenly getting the best of Mark D'Amato. And now the two referees very quickly separate these two.
But for the Rustlers, it's all about keeping some respect here, Ken. They're going out of here with a big defeat. They want to take something home that they can still talk about.
Mark D'Amato being sent to the penalty box, a one-jam penalty. But I think he'll take it. Gallagher started off having the best of the fight with a nice headlock takedown, but then it was all D'Amato.
Well, you got to give Gallagher credit. He's a much smaller guy than D'Amato, and he goes over on top. Good job, Brian Gallagher.
As you see Mark D'Amato. There you see Big Tim Washington at the front of the pack, picking up the slack for Mark D'Amato in the penalty box for a one-jam penalty. Washington gives a big whip to Brian Gamble. Again, the Enforcers out in front, but at least this time, two of the Rustlers are now coming out. Craig Fisher on the inside takes the lead, and now something we haven't seen all day. Two Rustler jammers out, one Enforcer. Your buddy Hawk Dan Giovanni trying to deal with them.
Well, you know what, man? This is very similar to most sports. These guys are looking at this as a practice. Very late in the game. We all know that the Enforcers are going to win. They're looking to save some energy for the next game, and the Rustlers are looking to kind of get a team that's in disarray without much experience, a little bit of that valuable experience here today.
Tim Washington, the big elbow to Craig Fisher as he tried to get by. Now Chris Tito tries to go by. What a great job of blocking. That's why the Enforcers are who they are. And Tim Washington, certainly the blocking leader, picking up the slack for D'Amato, serving out his one-jam penalty. Washington single-handedly keeping the Rustlers off the score.
That's what I'm talking about.
A double King Kong.
Let's go track down with Danny Moore. Danny?
All right, I'm here with Mark D'Amato, and forget the saying it's not over till it's over. This game is over. This game is way over. Gallagher, I think I hear your mommy calling you.
Well, these Enforcers like a low-scoring game, and you have to wonder, even though they scored 37 points and had an easy time of it, some of these jammers have been out expending a lot of energy.
Take a look at the Enforcers, the wall set up front. The Rustlers can't even get by them. Meanwhile, two of the Enforcers just cruising around the track. Jamming, here comes John Morrissey and Blaze Leon, and the Rustlers don't even have a jammer out yet. I mean, this is just target practice for New York.
And that was the Wall Street. You got Brian Gamble, Tim Washington, and D'Amato was part of it earlier. Now it's the 2 out of the 3 Wall Street, but that is called the Wall Street, Ken.
And what an end. Mark D'Amato basically adding insult to injury with a butt block, sending one of the Rustlers, Sigmund Williams, into the rail.
Tim Washington's really pleased with himself.
As are the New York Enforcers. We'll be back with the score. Well, let's face it, the score's mute at this point.
Usually this is the point in the contest where you can say the game is on the line, but I'm afraid this one was decided early. The Enforcers seem to be rolling over the Rustlers. Let's go back down now to Ken and Hawk.
And again, that familiar sight, Mark D'Amato, Tim Washington doing all the damage for the New York Enforcers. And now, finally, this is Sigmund Williams breaking free for the Texas Rustlers along with Chris Cheadle. But Dan Giovanni on the inside, big elbow, knocks Cheadle right off his balance. Now they concentrate. Down goes Williams. Dan Giovanni all alone being pursued by fellow jammer Brian Gamble.
Well, for the Rustlers, you know, they are on the verge of losing even a moral victory. I mean, losing by 30 points here in the World Skating League is something that people will talk about for decades. So they don't want to get beat by 30 points.
Bill Daly trying to block Dan Giovanni, and you could just see the enforcers, very honestly, ladies and gentlemen, they're just going through the motions. Sigmund Williams goes around, is able to put some points on the board for the Rustlers, but under 2 minutes to go, there is just frankly no way.
It's amateur night.
Those 2 points, if you look at Texas Rustlers up in the dictionary, it'll say too little, way too late.
But you got to look at Sigmund Williams as taking the opportunity to get a few digs in as Tim Washington and he battle out physically. And there is one bright spot for the Texas Rustlers right there.
And we've seen flashes of brilliance for Texas. They just can't put it together. And now this time it's Fred Eichhorn and Dan Giovanni again wearing the jammer helmets. The Rustlers, Brian Gallagher trying to do something, providing some leadership. But it's just way too much now. Craig Fisher breaks loose, coming all around. The enforcers know we're coming up on 1 minute to go in this game. I mean, there's no question. New York Enforcers will be back with the score. Well, let's face it, the score is skewed at this point.
Usually this is the point in the contest where you can say the game is on the line, but I'm afraid this one was decided early. The enforcers seem to be rolling over the Rustlers. Let's go back down now to Ken and Hawk.
And again, that familiar sight, Mark D'Amato, Tim Washington doing all the damage for the New York Enforcers. And now, finally, this is Sigmund Williams breaking free for the Texas Rustlers along with Chris Cheadle. But Dan Giovanni on the inside, big elbow, knocks Cheadle right off his balance. Now they concentrate. Down goes Williams. Dan Giovanni all alone being pursued by fellow jammer Brian Gamble.
Well, for the Rustlers, you know, they are on the verge of losing even a moral victory. I mean, losing by 30 points here in the World Skating League is something that people will talk about for decades. So they don't want to get beat by 30 points.
Bill Daly trying to block Dan Giovanni, and you could see Dan Giovanni, and you could.
It is Mark D'Amato, who, even though he is a violent guy, has his chin strap unbuckled.
Here's the Wall Street again. Oh, baby, Craig Fisher, he didn't stand a chance. Tim Washington picks him up and throws him back. Says, come on, do it one more time.
And that's all 5 boroughs, Ken. We've got Staten Island, we've got Manhattan, we've got the Brooklyn, we got the Bronx, and the Rustlers don't know what hit them. It's a roundup.
Talk about adding insult to injury. The enforcers showing absolute total dominance, and the Rustlers just know they can do absolutely nothing about it. Incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It's almost like a high school team going up against a team out of the National Football League. This is strictly a mismatch as it's winding down. Thankfully, referee Sean Corbin finally weighed off the Wall Street. Oh, Sean Atkinson goes after Tim Washington. Here comes D'Amato.
He can't wait. I tell you what, kid, he may see an opportunity where he might have to feel like he needs to tire out these New York Enforcers who've had a very easy go of it.
I don't know if this is such a smart idea on Atkinson's part. The last thing you want to do is get the Enforcers even more riled up. They were pretty complacent as they had absolutely no problem dealing with the Rustlers. And now the referees are pitting Atkinson, and Washington takes advantage.
Well, I think he was trying to start a mind game with these guys, and it might have gotten a little carried away for him, Ken.
At any rate, it's all New York Enforcers.
Tim Washington, the Rustlers, no match at all. We've been beat before. I don't know why they can come in here and beat us tonight. We are the dominant team in the WSL, and we're not going to take anything from nobody. No one. Jeez, they'll spit in my face. We'll do the same thing against the Quakes as we did against the Rustlers. And let me ask you, John the Snow Morrissey, get in here, Rustlers. What kind of face is that? This guy's psychotic.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a guy who is ready for Halloween 365 days a year, but the New York Enforcers are celebrating. However, it was a very easy victory. They weren't really tested tonight. The New York Enforcers dominate the Texas Rustlers by a 45-18 score. It was like the Enforcers against the Little League team. The Rustlers, I'm afraid, have a long way to go before they're going to be competitive. Well, that'll do it for tonight. For Ken Resnick, for Lee Hawk Rearman, for Broadway Danny Wolf, and thank you for watching tonight. I'm Rory Marcus. Hope you enjoyed it. The Enforcers get a big win. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you again next week.